Hey there YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll continue to work on my Project 1993 Lexus LS400. And in today's episode we're gonna work a little more under the hood. The goal for today is to inspect the distributors there and here. Remove the coil packs. One is over there and the other is down under. And I'll also plan to let the coolant out because I want to take out the intake plan. I'm not sure if I can do that today. It's a lot of work, as you can see, with all the hoses and lines. But luckily my buddy Dick gave me the official workshop manuals for these cars, and I can use them as long as I want to, so thanks Dick. And I'll use information in the workshop manuals to get things done under the hoods and to remove them in the correct order. I've just ordered some catch trays for the coolant and some jerry cans. I have to pick them up later, and I've ordered some small tools which I thought would be useful to use today. So let's get cracking. Less talk, more work. Let's start by taking these front covers off and see what needs to come off to be able to access those distributors. They are held in place with 3 bolts, and when I pull them off, those covers off, I can remove the distributors and inspect them. I have no idea when the timing belt was last replaced, nor do I know when the rotors, distributors and the spark plug leads were replaced, but thanks to the workshop manuals I have test values for the spark plug leads. I'm getting my tester, my multimeter any minute, and I'll inspect those leads. So let's get it on. I removed the intake box here and I took the serpentine belt out, and first thing I noticed here is this idler pulley here. Let's shed some light on that, and you can hear, not sure if you can hear it, it's noisy. And now I'll check all the other pulleys before I pick up my catch trays and bleed the cooling system, and when that's done I can take off these hoses, empty the system and take off the radiator, because I absolutely need that space in order to get the fan off and be able to pull those covers on bank 2 and bank 1 off. So I just got a call that the tools I ordered were in, so I went to my go-to place where I ordered my tools and workshop equipment. They're called seepshop.nl. No affiliation here, but I like to mention them in this video. They sell great stuff. So these are the tools I'm going to work with. I hope they serve me well. This little lot over here cost me about 40-50 euros, which I reckon is fairly decent, and the quality looks okay. And as I said, the parts are quite expensive over here. You can get expensive tools, but we're trying to work on a budget here, because we all of us hobby mechanics know there's this phenomena called w.i.f.e, otherwise known as workshop-induced financial exhaustion. So that's something we have to deal with, and we have to make ends meet while we try to keep our hobby cars running. So, hence this project's budget limitations. Now the first order of business is to drain the cooling system, find the drain plug, and I'm able to remove this coolant hoses down here, remove the radiator, the fan shroud, and after that the fan itself. So here's the lower engine cover off, and I took it off and out came this little bolt here. And I'm pretty sure I didn't take it off. So someone working on a car in the past must have lost this bolt and it was stuck here. Quite a miracle it didn't fall off. Another thing I noticed, let me crawl under here, is this very oily sump. Let's get you guys a bit focused and take my new workshop lamp. You can see this seeming to be the oil cooling lines from the transmission. They are leaking. And I'm having my first look at the oil filter down there. And the car's oil must have been changed about 3,000–4,000 kilometers back. And when I see this oil filter, I believe that the main problem here is somewhere in this connection from the transmission cooling line. So I have to sort it out too. So I've got the catch tray in place down there. And now I have to unscrew the drain plug, which is there, and hopefully I can get all the coolant out. Off we go. There's the coolant running out. Next I'll remove this filler plug up here so air can access. I can hear it, can hear air soaking in. But when I remove this filler plug, I hope it speeds up things. I had disconnected the battery, but then it occurred to me that I didn't open the heating valve fully. So I reconnected it and set, come on, let's zoom in. There you are. It says max hot. So the valving in the heater core is fully opened. So that will drain out too, so I can completely flush the cooling system. So I can put it off now. So the next thing I need to do is try to get the fan shroud off, then take the radiator out. Not sure which order they go best. Most likely I'll loosen the fan shroud, then take the radiator out, then the fan shroud, so I have access to the front of the engine. And just as I was trying to loosen the first radiator bracket bolt, I picked inside there the coolant hose, and you can see what's in there is all this, well, gooey stuff, some kind of residue. So a good thing we're taking the coolant out and need to flush the system. So the first thing to come out was actually the fan shroud. I had to unhook the coolant line down there, and then I pulled it off. It was a bit of a hassle, but then I noticed, and I didn't know, I should have looked in the workshop manual, this lower half of the fan shroud that surrounds the fan actually can be clipped off. Easily pull it upright, and there must have been someone or someone's in here before. These clips broken off. Let's see, I need to see if I can glue those back on there. So will you look at that, my fan is free, and what I assumed to be some coolant lines to the LPG system were in fact ATF filled lines. I'm not sure if they are related to the power steering or the transmission, but anywho, let's zoom. Anywho, the radiator is out. There's a whole bunch of leaves down under, so I need to clean up and vacuum a bit first. You see, there is my second spark plug cap off line. I didn't have a bolted hand, so these old spark plugs are put to good use now. And here's the radiator standing on its side. Ooh, camera doesn't want to focus today somehow. There's lots of leaf, and oh well, it seems I have created some kind of ATF leak, so get cleaning. Quick update, I bought some kitty litter. The radiator was leaking, put it on the floor. There it is. Plastic garbage bag, a vacuum cleaner, and my dustpan and a brush. So, going to clean up things first around here. Clean up a bit, vacuum down there, and then proceed working. So I took the outlet of the thermostat housing off, and it seems a little bit odd, like it was glued in here with some silicone gasket. And this little bypass valve is hanging in there. You can also see this milk-like substance come out. It's not an emulsion, so to me not an indication that there's oil in the cooling system. But I'll get it out and see what we find behind there. Well, do you see that, guys? That's the timing belt cover of the right hand side cylinder bank. It's finally out. I took the thermostat housing off, looked in there. It's quite clean in there. You can see a little residue back in there. Not sure what it is. I have to further investigate it. But then I took the coil off, the cover, and I took the idler pulley off. The bearing is in pretty rough shape, and this is the tensioner. Put it close. It's making a squeaking noise, so I should replace that too. But first order of business now is taking this distributor off and then doing the same on the left hand side, taking that off. And the next step is the inspection of the distributors, the inside and the rotors back in there. And the second one is out, but not without a struggle. I took off the fan because it was terribly in the way. And there's a lot of lines. There's this metal line going up along this coil to the expansion tank over there. I had to take it out, but I noticed that these cables are brittle, and you can see this one in fact is cracked here. You can see the pink line in there. This is the cable going towards the camshaft position sensor on the left hand side cylinder bank. I'm gonna take it off and get my multimeter and do some measurements to ensure that the wiring is okay and that the sensor is in perfect working order. So with the covers off, it's finally time to get the distributors off. So both loose, spark plug leads are off. Let's wiggle it off, see what we've got. Well, I'm filming this with one hand, but from my point of view you can see the tips in this lower left corner are corroded, heavily corroded. So these distributors must have been in there for quite a while. Well, it must be the same for the right inside. Yeah, it's the same. They are corroded, pitted, and you can see some debris lying in the corner there down below. So they're burned in. So I believe those aren't too expensive, so I'll replace these. Let's have a look at the rotors. Yeah, they are corroded. And they're very rough, like a metal file, so we'll use these for longer. There's a small update. I talked to my landlord, she was very nice, and I asked if I could use the storage room, the workplace in the back there. So I now have an extra storage room to store my parts. Radiator is over there. There's some heating in here. There's a large workbench. My battery is over there. Fan, put it upright because of the oil in there. And here are the distributor caps and the rotors. And they must have been in place long. They are cracked around the screws here and there. And they are cracked around here. Let's zoom in for you. You can see the cracks on the top. And this one has it too, so that's no good. Continue using them. The brackets for the distributors are off, and now we can have a look on the timing and the timing belt, and immediately there is food for thought. Someone has been in here before. There's these paint marks on the sprocket wheel there and there. There's also one here. Food for thought. There is the marking on the engine block. This one on the sprocket. These are aligned. Let's go to the left hand side cylinder bank, where we have the marking here, and the other marking is here. It's about 90 degrees off. So when this would really be this far off, the engine wouldn't run, but it did run great before the ignition trouble started. When we have a look at the marking on the back here, you can see this little dent over here. It's about 2 or 3 teeth off, and you can see, hope you can see this on camera, there's this little marking here. Put a light on, maybe that helps. There's a marking here, it's well half a tooth off, where this is lagging 3 teeth behind. There's my favorite cap, and thankfully it's clean. My head and my hair aren't. The tensioner pulley is out, and I needed to pull the alternator forward because it obstructs the bracket. It's held in place. And there were those 2 ATF field lines who ran to the radiator, to the heat exchanger. Had to pull it forward, and you may see there's a puddle of coolant down there. So next thing to do is take a break, go home, eat, maybe shower, clean my head a bit, and then we'll carry on. So I just got back to my storage room. I brought the German version of the workshop manual, the Werkstatthandbuch Band 1. I brought my multimeter, and the spark plug leads are here, and let's look in the workshop manual and see what they should measure. So I'm done measuring. Cylinders 1 and 2 were in the range of 5 kilo ohms. Numbers 3 and 4 were in the range of, I believe, were 14 kilo ohms, so well within spec. These were number 5 and 6. They were in the 15 kilo ohm range. And the last ones, number 7 and 8, were about 10 ohms. And the leads from the coils to the distributors were both 4.5 kilo ohms. So all well within spec, so I can use them again in any way. So on the next page of the workshop manual there's something interesting going on. There are 2 different specs I noticed. So let's get lighting corrected. There's 2 different specifications for spark plugs I noted. The Nippon Denso K20RU, but those are herkömmliche Elektronen, so that would be standard spark plugs. And on the next page you have the Platina Elektroden, which are the platinum tip spark plugs, and they specify the ND PK20R11 which came out. And those are also the same that Kelvin from Cartoon NZ suggested I should use. And I brought up another interesting question, whether or not to use anti-seizure compound on the spark plugs, and he recommended I should use some nickel anti-seize. Next up are the ignition coils. This one was on the top of the engine, which supplies the right hand side cylinder bank, and this one was down below, which was quite a pain to get out because the bracket is held in place with 2 bolts on the front and 1 in the back. Sorry, there you are, with 2 bolts on the front and 1 in the back. That one was hard to get out, but I got them here. So there's 2 things we can test. This is the Primärwicklung, the primary coil, which should be in the range of 0.4 to 0.5 ohms. And the second thing test is the secondary coil, the Sekundärwicklung. This should be in the range of 10.2 to 13.8 kilo ohms. So I'll do that next. Well, there's a reading, it's 0.7, 0.6 ohms, it changes a bit. This is the left hand side coil, and that's, anyway, it's above the mentioned 0.4, 0.5 range. So there is something going on. Let's try the second one. Let's see if I can measure with one hand and get a reading. Same here, 0.9, 0.8, it's changing a bit, so that's out of spec too. This one's dropping, might be within spec. Let's try the other one again. It's dropping, 0.7, 0.6, not sure. That's the most of our words at the moment. Now let's try to measure the secondary coils. So that should be the readings for the secondary coil. I got the first one attached and it's reading somewhere between 11.4, 11.6. This is the left hand side one, so I think we may assume that this one's okay. Only thing is we're testing it cold and the problem occurs, the misfires occur when the car is hot. So no guarantees here yet. Now I attach the test leads to the right hand side coil. We get the same reading, well within spec, but still the problems, the misfires may occur from this one. I'll replace them anyway because I already ordered the new coils. So with that I would like to conclude episode number 3. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any tips, tricks or hints, let me know down below in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll hope to see you next time. Bye bye.